Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Joosep, co-founder of Factory, as mentioned already, and I was asked here today to speak about sales, and especially about my own sales experience, about how I ended up where we are right now, and also to give maybe some insights, maybe even some takeaways of my own sales, I would say career, but my own sort of path, let's say like that. And also I apply the topic also into here, which is thinking of things of whether sales is like engineering. So because currently Factory is in a market of engineers, I tend to think that actually sales is rather like engineering. So without further ado, a bit about myself as well. I'm a fairly young guy, 30 right now, done sales for almost a decade now, with different fields: direct sales, face-to-face in supermarkets, software sales in Messente, right? And which has a long sales process, sales cycle, as well as now co-founding a company and selling physical products to engineers, to manufacturing companies via a web-based service. Actually, I was supposed to become a diplomat. I studied political science, went to do an internship in Brussels in the Estonian embassy for the European Union, but discovered that this actually wasn't for me, becoming a bureaucrat at that time. So switched to private business and to sales. After doing this, I went to the army, currently holding a lieutenant rank in the Estonian Defense Forces, and I'm a father of a young 1-year-old son. So this is briefly about myself, and let's dig into this. Before I go back in history, I'll talk about the present. I'll briefly go over about Factory, what we are, what we do, and where we are right now. And then after that, I would sort of take the historic route and show what I have done and some thoughts about it. So, Factory, some of you know, some of you don't, is an automatic platform to connect engineering companies with manufacturing companies. So the problem here is that in the outsourcing in manufacturing, there are engineering companies who would actually produce something, and then manufacturing companies who need something to be produced. And there's a disconnect in their outsourcing process. Most of it is done via email, via phone calls, which is very time consuming and takes both the suppliers as well as the client's time. What we have done is we created an online platform where they upload the CAD files, the same files which they share via email. They upload them, they get an instant price with seconds, not with weeks. We are manufacturing those and sending them to the site, to the warehouse where needed. This means that we are taking a full portion of their outsourcing to ourselves, so that they can focus on the stuff which they are doing, the core business, selling their own products. This is how the system looks from inside. Upload files, specify parameters like thickness, quantity, material, and get the price. So these are sort of like to show also what we do. These are some things what we do. As you can see on the right, there are some client stuff. There's a boat, Baltic Workboat's boat. It consists of sheet metal, aluminium, tons of it, and they require it as well. As you can see, it's welded together. There's some pipes and some bench sheet and so on and so forth. And mostly these kinds of companies don't cut the things themselves, they outsource the production. So this is where we come in with the products which are on the left: sprockets, sheet metal bent tubes, and so on and so forth. Also, below you can see a conveyor belt. This also requires sheet metal, CNC products, and so on and so forth. So as you can understand, we are sort of in this manufacturing, in this production side of things. Most of our customers are repeat customers. Most of the revenue comes from it. To name some bigger customers, JCB, the excavators, right? ABB, Siemens prototyping with us, BAE Systems prototyping with us as well, one of the world's biggest military equipment, the producer. And but actually most of our clients are SMEs, small and medium-sized companies doing some kind of things. This is sort of quickly reverse numbers. 2018 was the first year for us. 2019 we did 5x in all metrics. Also entered the UK market. Now 95% of the customers are inbound. So it means that currently we do very little outbound, always still did it in the beginning, now less and less. Maybe in the future more and more outbound, we don't know. 11 account managers and mostly inbound leads are coming through with AdWords, SEO, Facebook, LinkedIn, types of things like that. And yeah, so this year we expect some 4 million revenue to achieve. So what regards, this is about factory, where we are at the moment, but how did we end up in here, and how this all links to sales being an engineer thing, I will explain. So this is my former colleague back in 2013. Some of you might know him, some not. And this is where my sales sort of endeavor started. It was direct sales. You all have seen those guys, LHV, Starman, Elisa, selling you at supermarkets, asking you, how is your pension fund doing? Or something like this. And we were selling electricity. That was year 2017, when the electricity market in Estonia opened up, and we needed something. They needed actually to build up their customer portfolio, and Electrum decided that the best way to do it is by direct sales in supermarkets. So in South Estonia, I helped them with that. We had like tons of people selling around different, from Võru to Jõgeva to wherever, pretty much, Tõrva, stuff like that. This guy was the best guy. As you can see, he holds a trophy. The picture is very 2013 as well. As you can see, it's fairly blurry as well. So nowadays iPhone 12 doesn't match it. But yeah, but what it sort of taught us is the first thing is that it sort of built a shield of Teflon upon us all. So there's resilience of no. And I think nowadays, when we are hiring people as well, salespeople, and by the way, we're doing it right now as well, we tend to look at people, if they have some experience from book sales, from direct sales in malls, and so on and so forth, we know that they're resilient for a no. Because if you approach 100 person a day, you get 99 no's in different ways, sending you to the darkest holes in the available. So it's a really tough job. But as you can see as well, at the top there's like a sort of like a spreadsheet where we mark down how many sales they do a day. Some did well, 10, some didn't, some did 1. It's like 20 odd days. And it's quite clear that on heads, I can see that actually those guys who were taking like a methodical approach actually did the best, as well as an engineer, right? So, and this sort of took me to an idea of sales being like an engineering job actually. Nowadays, when I see how engineers work as well, mechanical engineers, building stuff like conveyor belts or designing them actually. So they have like something, they have like a project in front of them. They need to build a conveyor to a certain position, to a certain place, into a building. They have some limitations. They have like some speed which they need to take it, something to carry, some weights and stuff. So they have the limitations. The same goes with actually sales. If you take the example of direct sales, if somebody comes to you and it's a lead, it's like a project, the end goal is to close it right. And then you have your own path. And the ones who take the methodical approach will win, and the ones who don't, they usually, sort of the conversion rate is way worse. And if the project or the engineer, mechanical engineer, gets the design done for the conveyor belt, it's built as well, assembled on site, and it goes wrong, or there's some faults, the first person who is blamed is the mechanical engineer. The same goes in sales. So if you go into the sale and do some kind of lies or even white lies, and if it comes out, you're responsible, right? So, and this is something which is really similar actually to engineering as well. Be it even software engineers, they also, if you program something, you have a bug, fix it. Same as in sales. So, taking this example, I'll jump in time and talk about my next position, which is Messente. This picture actually illustrates it quite well. If the previous job was selling to the customers directly, if you did a fault, if you had white lies, you sort of fixed the sort of like the documents and everything was fine. In here, the sales cycle is 3 months, 6 months, a year. And these kind of situations don't let you to do sort of 40 steps, especially when this specific example I think is done in 2016. It's a company called Top Planner. I went to visit them in Warsaw, and yeah, we shook hands, like as you can see. And I'm not sure, guys, are they with Messente or not? Still they are, cool. So yeah, really good customer. But what the sort of took us there, or what makes Messente good? Probably all of you know Messente, you know Mobi Group, you know Fortuma guys. Andrea will come here and tell you all about the long sales cycles and how to achieve and how to convert those big companies. Is that they have like a really methodical approach to sales. And this is actually an example of my own sales notes in my first month in Messente. So I joined Messente in May 2015 and jumped right on it. Sort of, as you can see, thinking of converting TPD Group, Collect Chronopost, Collect Plus, all big logistic companies in Europe. But sort of we had the ambition, but in order to achieve it, we had like this project, let's say, to Chronopost. But in order to achieve it, you have to have like this really methodical approach. Every step, every approach, every person you contact, every question has to be the right one in order to sort of achieve the goals. And yeah, Messente is running sort of, I don't know if it's still, but 360-degree sales, meaning that you research your own leads, you approach them, you close them, you nurture them, you upsell to them, you handhold them, and all that other stuff as well. So this also shows that it's really similar to engineering. Like, take a lead, a project, close it, nurture it, and you're good. And now we get to Factory. Factory has a bit of a different sales story. Factory is a company which we co-founded with Martin and Wayne. And Factory is, as you saw, working in manufacturing. Way different sales, again. And we are selling physical products. The end sort of result of using our service is a physical product. It's a pile of metal, mostly. Be it like 10 kilos, be it 10 tons, everything goes. So, and sales in this field, let's say it's still sort of picking up in a way that this example is, I guess, from Euroblech. It was 2019 or 18, I can't recall. And it really shows how sales is done. Guys go to a machine, some nice looking old guy has a nice shirt, so they are all looking. 5th year in a row you go to the same fair, and then eventually you will say, okay, I will take the machine. But you have to go to sauna together, drink beers, and go out as well many times. So this is how sales is done right now in manufacturing mostly. In Factory, we decided we had to go a different route, right? So our sales, sort of lead generation and sales is way different than any other, I think, right now in manufacturing. So 95% of the leads are inbound. Really little outbound sales. Obviously in the beginning we did outbound as well, but now less and less. I'll go back. There's a lead gen, so sales is pretty much divided in 3 different tiers. One is lead generation, the guys who sort of validate the accounts created on Factory. Every day around 50, 60, up to 100 accounts are created on Factory site every day. Almost half of them are business domains, meaning that our lead gen team will discuss with them what's their needs, what they want, and how can we help them. After the first sale, RFQ, meaning the request or order is done, it goes into the hands of the account managers. They are the ones who are sort of nurturing the leads, doing upsell, looking that they are all good, that they are sort of suitable, that they have everything with what they need. And if the job goes into production, supply chain guys will take over. As you know, we have a two-sided marketplace. There are suppliers and clients. So supply chain guys are the ones who are faced towards suppliers so that everything that goes into production is handled nicely and properly. But I will just briefly talk about the approach of the account managers. So in order to sort of, again, have this methodical approach to sale, engineers approach, because most of these guys in here, these 11 guys, are actually engineers by trade. We designed them to be sales guys as well a bit. So in here we have like a proper sort of portfolio management system. For all these salespeople or companies who are looking for a system, I sort of recommend Sales Machine. It's pretty good. If you're doing outbound sales via Pipedrive or whatever, and you are sort of looking for something which is good for sort of managing accounts, looking what they're doing, having automated triggers when's needed. Let's say if somebody doesn't log in for a week, sales guy gets an automated trigger saying that, hey, call him, ask what's up, or send an automated email, and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty good tool for that. As you can see, we have around 16,000 contacts there right now, and you can configure it as you want. It's a really beneficial stuff, actually. It's fairly expensive as well. I guess €1,000 a month, but it's worth it as well, I think. So, and in here as well, we try to take this engineer's approach even to the next level. Like every small step which the client makes, whatever, where they are, where they sign up, when they upload something, it's written down, it's noted, and we sort of act upon it as well. So, just to round it up, in engineering and manufacturing, there's a position called sales engineer. And it's a person who is handling requests and orders, and is actually by trade a technical person. So I think more and more salespeople should be like sales engineers, having a sort of technical and methodological approach to sales, meaning that you would probably be better off. And by the way, we are also hiring currently to Estonia CFO, still, full stack developer, and a account manager as well. So if anybody knows anybody, let me know. Uba is waiting for you upstairs. We have an office in here. So he's always looking for new colleagues to join. Thanks a lot, guys.